Hi, everybody. The lesson that I chose to do for this social studies lesson was a second grade lesson on maps. This is the second lesson out of a 5-day unit on different map skills and how to find different places on a map, how to give someone directions, and eventually the students will be creating their own map. So the first lesson, the students were introduced to different map vocabulary. They got to look at a picture of a map, see what they notice, what they already knew, and talk about different things that we are going to be doing throughout the unit. So today's goal for the lesson, the students are going to be comparing and contrasting 4 different maps in a group going around the room. The standards that are going to be addressed throughout this lesson are, this first one is geography students will use a variety of intellectual skills to demonstrate their understanding of the geography of the interdependent world in which we live, local, national, and global, including the distribution of people, places, and environments over Earth's surface. The second standard is to make strategic use of digital media and visual displays of data to express information and enhance their understanding of presentations. And the literacy standard that is incorporated in this lesson is 2SL1B, which is building on others' talking conversation by linking their comments to the remarks of others throughout multiple exchanges. Because throughout this lesson, they are going to be grouped and they are going to turn and talk with their peers about what they are noticing and what they think is the same, and if they agree or they disagree with a different student's opinion when they travel around to the different maps to see what they noticed. The content, objectives, and skills that are going to be used throughout this lesson are that the students will be able to discuss similarities and differences between the maps. The students will be able to discuss different map features that they see on the maps, and the students will be able to identify different places on a map. The students will be asked to use specific language throughout the lesson. Some of the key vocabulary that we are going to be learning and use throughout the lesson is cardinal directions, a legend, a compass rose, a map, the capital, a city, key, a water, land, street, house, and store. So the prior academic skills that the students have already developed in this lesson previous, and they will use what they learned about the map and their vocabulary words in this lesson. We already looked about different types of maps and pictures of these maps, and they have already read a story about how to find different places on a map. So the students will build on this prior knowledge of the different maps that they may find and words in a legend in order to be successful, because we've already looked at a few different maps in the previous lesson, and they will use these skills and the vocabulary to help them discuss and describe the similarities and differences between maps. Some of the misconceptions that the students might have throughout the lesson that will be addressed are that all of the maps are the same because they're showing places people can go, and that the students might have a misconception about that they don't understand how they can compare and contrast the different maps, which the teacher will address in her introduction of the lesson. So for the introduction, the teacher will show a map like this one. I would put this one on the board and have the students kind of explain. The teacher will say that yesterday we learned what a map is and what it is used for. It helps us get somewhere. It shows us where things are. We can use it to give directions where we find somewhere. And then the teacher will show this map of a community and ask the students to identify the different things. They might see a car, a traffic light, a stop sign, a Ferris wheel, an airplane, a pond. They might notice the different things. And then the teacher will remind the students, or I will remind them, that not all maps they see are going to be the same, and that maps use symbols such as dots for a city, or dotted lines on the road, or this sign to signal a left turn. or this to say yield. And the legend, some maps might have a legend, which is like a key, and that will tell what the symbol is. And then we will talk about how today we are going to compare and contrast different things on the map. So the teacher will also introduce what a map key is, and the teacher will show this map and show the students that in the map key, it explains what these key details are from the map. So my house, here's the picture of the house. The school is a flag. The library is a book. The store is a grocery cart. The pool is over here. The road, the trail, and the tree. So that when you look at a map, sometimes it doesn't look exactly how things look when we're driving in the road and we're seeing different things because it's an aerial view from the top. So the teacher or myself will explain how the key helps us to understand the different features that are in our maps. The teacher will then introduce the new concepts and skills and explain to the students that throughout this lesson they are going to be comparing and contrasting different maps and their features. So the teacher will explain this Venn diagram that the students will eventually get to use throughout the lesson and practice together comparing a tennis shoe and a high heel shoe. So the teacher will explain that on the outsides, we just write what each specific map or object has, and then in the middle, we will write how they are the same. So the high heel is hard to walk in, tennis shoes easy, low heel, a big heel, this one's fancy, and this one's for exercise and games, and we wear them both. So the teacher will go over that with the students. Then the teacher will introduce the new concept and skills by explaining that there will be 4 maps posted around the room, and the students are going to be split up in groups of 5 to discuss the different details in the map and how it is the same or different from other maps. The teacher will first show the students 2 maps on the board, and we will talk about the different or similar things that we see in each of these maps. So the teacher might first say that she notices that both of these maps are taken from a higher up view. That's something that they have in common. But something that is different about these maps is that this one looks like it's real pictures, and this one looks like it's kind of drawings or like clip art cartoon map. And it's not of a real place. Then the teacher will ask the students to give a few examples of things they notice before actually moving on to the next part of the lesson. So the students might say that they both have roads. One of them has cars driving on the roads. They both have houses and buildings. They both have trees. So after they recognize things that are the same and the different, the teacher will allow the students to go into their groups. She will split them up all into different groups, and she will explain that there's going to be these 4 maps posted around the room. 2 of them are ones that we just kind of mentioned and gave a few examples of, and they are going to first go around and just read the title of each map. So each map around the room is going to have the picture, and then above the map is going to be the title of the map, which actually explains a little bit about what it is. So throughout this, when they first go and explore the maps, they're just going to be kind of looking for different things that they notice and things that they observe before they actually get to comparing and contrasting their maps. So the teacher is going to split them up and allow them to go around. And as they do this and go into these discussions with their groups and their peers, the teacher is going to walk around and engage the students in some questioning before they all come back together again. And as they go around, they're going to have this worksheet on a clipboard. They are going to write the 5 map titles. The teacher might have 4, she might have 5 maps, depending on how many kids are there that day. So they'll write the title right here, and then 2 things that they observe about each map. Now, all of the groups do not have to go in the same order. There's not a specific map that is map number 1. They are just going to go around and the teacher will know exactly what map it is because they are going to write the title of the map, and they are all titled different things. Once the teacher monitors the groups walking around doing this, she's going to see what they are understanding and what they're noticing about the different maps. And then they will come back together to talk about different things that they noticed. They might notice that, this one has a school and a train. This one doesn't have a train, but they both have roads that look like this. These three have a beach, pond area, but this one doesn't. This is the only one that has real pictures. The rest of them are drawings. They might notice different things like that. They all have grass. They all have trees. They're all of a different community. This one has like a circle road. So does this one. And so does this one. It's different things like that. And then when they talk about those different things that they notice, then the teacher is going to give them this Venn diagram. And the students will go over it together. They will compare and contrast just two different maps. So they're going to walk around again and pick two different maps that they want to talk about with their group. And then they will write the title again on the top. And then they're going to write things that only this map has, things that only this map has, and then things that they have in common, kind of like the things I already talked about. But as the students go back into their group, after they have the whole group discussion about the things they noticed on each map, they will go and they will look for things that are similar and things that are different about two of the maps. And then they will come back to the floor and the teacher will go over all of their findings and noticings together. Then the teacher will close out the lesson by explaining the importances of recognizing the similarities and differences of various maps, because sometimes we might see two maps of our community, but each of them is identifying and showing us different things in a little bit of a different way. So one map might be of, let's just say, Comac, and the other map might be of Comac Village, but one might be this side of Comac and one might be this side, and they each cut off in different places, so they might not have all of the same things, but they also might. So some of them might show it in a different way. One might be real pictures, and it has a lot of detail, and the other one might be a drawing like kind of the other ones were, and it might not have as much detail. Then the summative assessment that the teacher will give the students after the lesson to have them show what they learned is answering some questions and handing it in. So the students are going to get something that looks like this, and they have to answer 4 multiple choice questions and then 6 short answer. So the students are talked about a compass rose when they looked at a different key, and they talked about it when they read the story the day before. So they're going to identify what this is called. A blank tells you what a symbol means, so they're going to talk about the legend. What is a map? It is a picture that shows the location of things. Number 4, it is important when looking at a map that we blank observe the map features. And then the students will look at these 2 maps, and they have to write 3 similarities that they noticed and 3 differences. And that is kind of the basis of the lesson that the teacher is going to be doing on day 2.